Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Jacky. Wambiru sign language interpreter is Ann Wangeshi. Now to school on August 2nd, all the 1 million plus candidates who sat for the 2020 Kenya Certificate of Primary Education examination will transit to secondary level. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor Jacob Moi says the government has moved to ensure the success of the 100% transition policy and that no student should be denied admittance due to lack of school fees.
The Ministry of Education has completed the placement of students into public secondary schools ahead of August 2nd opening. Learners can access admission instructions on the Ministry of Education website or by sending their index number to 22263. At least 36,000 students will join national schools, while over 200,000 students will join extra county schools. 213,000 students will join county secondary schools, and 718,000 others will go to sub-county schools. Speaking during the launch of Form 1 selection, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor Jacob Moi called on school administration to be considerate and avoid sending learners home for lacking school fees.
And I keep saying that people must pay fees because I know people who are driving cars, good cars. They change clothes very well. They go to clubs to drink beer. The only thing they don't have is money to pay their children's fees. I have also said very clearly that the children who are poor and indigent must be left in school. I have no water in my mouth when I'm saying these things. And then the teachers are saying, how shall we know? Summon them to your school and talk to them. Let them show you evidence that they have been sacked.
The government provides approximately 22,000 shillings as capitation for each secondary school student to cater for tuition and Medicare. This year, however, the ministry has had a shortfall of 6 billion shillings for secondary schools. Professor Moi warning that no effort will be spared to ensure prudent use of available resources.
So may I urge anybody who has power to spend money to ensure that that money is spent for the person that it is supposed to be spent. Otherwise, you'll go to answer God directly when you go up. I'm telling you the truth, because you may be thinking you are stealing from government, but you are stealing from the children. A child is like an angel. You don't dare steal what belongs to a child.
To serve the large number of students that come with 100% transition policy, the Teachers Service Commission has budgeted some 2.5 billion shillings for the recruitment of 50,000 teachers.
I wish to ask qualified and unemployed and registered teachers to look out for advertisements for employment opportunities next month.
The Ministry of Education is calling for proper utilization of the National Government Constituency Development Fund in the expansion of school infrastructure and enhancement of bursaries. The government has allocated 4.2 billion shillings for infrastructure development in public primary and secondary schools in 2021-2022 financial year. Kevin Washira, Channel 1 News.
In other news, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission is not ready to demarcate boundaries ahead of the 2022 general election. In what could be a blow to proponents of additional constituencies, the elections in a 5-year strategic plan launched Tuesday has no mention of any blueprint on boundaries review. In a plan, IEBC also wants Parliament to come up with a legal framework to guide a referendum.
With the IEBC sticking to their guns that the proposal by the Building Bridges initiative to create 70 extra constituencies is illegal, the Commission, it appears, is not ready to undertake any constituency delimitation before the 2022 general election. The Constitution, in Article 89, 3 and 4, says that the Commission shall review the number, names and boundaries of wards periodically. If a general election is to be held within 12 months after the completion of a review by the Commission, the new boundaries shall not take effect for purposes of that election. But in its strategic plan 2020 to 2024, Elections Operations Plan, Boundaries Review Operations Plan, and other policy documents unveiled Tuesday. The Commission intends to begin by developing a review operations plan, develop rules of procedure for delimitation, undertake stakeholder engagement and public participation, and establish a well-equipped geographic management system laboratory.
The Commission mandate is clearly spelled out in the law and in the Constitution, saying we can do boundaries between 8 years to 12 years. So the plan you have today has nothing to do with what you are referring to as BBI, which is a life matter in court. What we have in the plan today is the activities which the Commission has already undertaken and is going to undertake, stretching between this period which has been covered from last year up to the time when the boundaries review will be concluded. That's before 2024.
On the lack of sufficient statutory and regulatory laws governing a referendum, IEBC is engaging the National Assembly's Justice and Legal Affairs Committee to formulate the laws. On the management of next year's general election, IEBC intends to bridge the gaps to eliminate errors similar to those of the 2017 general election, with the judiciary calling on the electoral body to minimize electoral disputes emanating from disputed polls.
This report outlines all areas required to be looked at and amended by Parliament as regards election laws. We hope that Parliament will look at it, make the necessary amendments. We're already late in the day, but we hope something will be done so that the experiences learned in 2017 are not repeated.
We have a role in ensuring that we minimize this number. And I say this taking into account a country like Ghana that only had 7 electoral disputes in their last election. So what I was asking myself, is it that the people of Ghana trust their electoral commission more than we do, or is it that Kenyans are more litigious than our brothers out there?
The judiciary joining the IEBC in its call for timely funding in what the electoral body claims is the biggest impediment to proper preparation for an election.
We request those responsible, the National Treasury, the National Assembly, all partners to support the Commission in order to realize the funding that is required for this important institution.
Our funding only comes in just when election is about. Like the first tranche of our funding now is coming in the next financial year. And as a commission, we have always said we need to be funded throughout the 5-year electoral cycle. And so now here we are with an election next year, and the first tranche of the funding is just coming in. But with all of you and your support, we should be able to deliver on our mandate.
Stakeholders in the electoral process calling for the taming of hate mongers, calling on the judiciary to remain impartial in the dispensation of justice during the electoral cycle.
The Independent Electoral Commission must remain sane, just like the judiciary must remain sane when madness engulfs us.
And if we do not give visas to those who AACC has presented as being involved in corruption, it's even more so that those who incite violence should not be allowed to go to Europe or North America.
A section of members of parliament are opposed to calls to shelve degree requirements for members seeking elective positions in the 2022 general election. Now, former Majority Leader Aden Duale maintained that those aspiring to vie for the 2022 general elections had enough time to acquire the required academic credentials. 2 individuals have moved to petition Parliament to shelve the requirement, citing the COVID-19 pandemic and discrimination bar the requirement.
All candidates in the 6 elective positions come the next general election must have a university degree.
It is this statement by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission during the national launch of the 2021 Annual Voter Education Week on Monday that has stirred debate among political leaders and members of the public. members of the National Assembly in 2017 amended Section 22 of the Election Act that prescribes minimum academic qualifications for lawmakers at both levels of government. The amendment requires members of Parliament and members of County Assembly to have a minimum bachelor's degree before they are clear to contest. The amendments were to apply for all candidates in the general elections to be held after the 2017 general elections. If implemented, hundreds of candidates hoping to vie for the 2022 general elections and have not acquired the degree certificates will be locked out. 2 petitions have already been filed at the National Assembly challenging this requirement. In their petition, Anthony Manyara and John Wangai have termed the move discriminatory and risks locking out many capable aspirants.
The petitioners claim that the university degree requirement will make political leadership a preserve of the elites and will disenfranchise a number of good leaders who may not have been privileged to pursue higher education.
But a section of members of Parliament have maintained that the enactment of the law cannot be postponed any further.
There's this story of leaders are born, but leaders, when they are born, all of us, we didn't have any experience. We didn't have any qualification. We went to school, some became doctors. So, Speaker, we cannot have people who have no basic education qualification to participate in the function of budget-making process of this House.
Mr. Speaker, that hour of reckoning has now come. Those MCAs who are saying Badi is abusing us, now you should know that Badi was their friend. If you still don't have a degree, please, it is too bad for you.
There is no question now for people to start saying, let's postpone again to 2027. I think it is wrong, and it's an abuse of the legislative power of this House.
Meanwhile, Machakos Governor Dr. Alfred Mutua has joined those giving IEBC a thumbs up.
So kuna haja gani unasomesha mtoto lakini ukienda kuchagua kiongozi unachagua mtu hajasoma? Then why do you take your children to school? It's a contradiction in terms. Watu wasome.
While defending his hard stand on the matter, IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati maintained that the commission is only acting as per the law.
Section 22 of the Elections Act says that. So it's not something the commission has come up with. And if anybody wants to go to court, I think they are free to do so. Or Parliament can revisit the issue by way of legislation. We have no problem with that.
Those opposed to the requirement have cited, among others, the disruption of the academic calendar occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic, which may have derailed plans by many aspiring candidates to acquire their degree certificates before the 2022 general elections. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Safin Achieng Oma.
Away from that, the National Treasury has moved to avert a looming crisis in counties by committing to disburse 40 billion shillings to the devolved units this Friday. The Council of Governors on Monday threatened to halt operations should the national government fail to wire 103 billion shillings by end of the week.
A day after the Council of Governors threatened to paralyze operations across counties, decrying what the governors refer to as prolonged cash crunch, National Treasury Cabinet Secretary has offered some relief, albeit momentarily, with 40 billion shillings set to be disbursed this Friday. While appearing before the Senate Finance Committee, Yatani defended his office, claiming the delay was occasioned by failure to meet the revenue collection target.
Revenues are falling behind time, and when we get money, we split and based on the critical priorities, mainly the security sector, the health sector, salaries, the county government, all we treat them equally. And this does not mean that the national government projects and programs are not falling behind.
A proposal that a section of county funds goes to county assembly was also shot down, with the attorney claiming Treasury has no powers to dictate the amount to allocate county assembly from the overall county budget, unless a law that provides for that is formulated.
The county assemblies are equivalent of the national assemblies or maybe a parliament here. So we want to make it different, that they get the allocation not from through the national budget, but get it differently, is going to be a problem. But because you are the ones who make the law, That one we leave it to you.
Yetani, who was also required to explain why, despite a shortage in revenue collection, presented a higher budget, also proposed a reduction in county allocation for counties that refund unused fund to Treasury at the end of every financial year, a move that was hugely opposed by senators. For Channel 1 News, I'm Gladys Mongai.
The Kenya Defence Force been deployed to Democratic Republic of Congo on a United Nations peacekeeping mission. Now speaking at Embakasi Garrison, Chief of Defence Forces General Robert Kiboshi says the troops will be in DRC for 1 year.
Pomb and color characterized the farewell party for the Kenya Defence Forces deployed for 1 year to the Democratic Republic of Congo. The officers will be charged with the responsibility of helping restoring peace in DRC that has lately suffered political instability, particularly in the eastern part. Kenya is a key supporter of UN peacekeeping efforts. Chief of Defence Forces General Robert Kiboshi called on the officers to exercise integrity and uphold discipline.
Tunajua ya kwamba mkifika pale mtafanya kazi kulingana na zile sheria za United Nations ambazo zimewekwa, kwa sababu kazi yenu sasa ni kuzuia wale maadui wasiue wale wenyeji ambao wako huko. Kwa hivyo nyinyi mtakuwa na kazi ngumu, lakini kazi ambaye nyinyi mmejifunza na najua mtafanya kazi vizuri.
He says he has confidence that the team will fly the Kenyan flag high, bearing in mind that a number of them have previously participated in similar assignment.
Wengi wenu ambao mko hapa mmeserve katika AMISOM kwa mara moja au mbili, na kwa hivyo najua ya kwamba mmekuwa hardened katika vita.
Their deployment in DRC just comes 10 days after 75 troops from the Kenya Defence Forces military personnel jetted back in the country from peacekeeping mission in Darfur, Sudan.
Ni kazi ambaye haitakuwa rahisi, lakini kwa training ambayo mmepata, vifaa ambazo tumepatia nyinyi ambaye ni vifaa za juu zaidi, nafikiri mtatoka huko mkiwa mmepeperusha bendera yetu juu zaidi, na wakati mkirudi after 1 year, nafikiri wale watakuja baadaye pia wataiga mfano wenu.
Even as the Kenya Defence Forces leave Kenya for the next 3 weeks for 1 year to enable the peacekeeping mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Chief of Defence Forces General Robert Kiboshi has called on the officers to flag the Kenyan flag high. Timothy Kipnosu for Channel 1 News in Embakasi Garrison, Nairobi.
And on matters related to the COVID-19, Kenya's COVID-19 positivity rate stands at 8.1% after 456 people tested positive from a sample size of 5,626 tested in the last 24 hours. 7 people have succumbed to the disease, bringing total fatalities to 3,428.
From the cases, 424 are Kenyans, while 32 are foreigners. 266 are males and 190 females. The youngest is a 2-month-old infant, while the oldest is 92 years old. Total confirmed positive cases now stand at 176,137. Nairobi recorded the highest number of cases with 116, followed by Kisumu at 66, Busia 42, Siaya 30, Mombasa 28, and Kilifi 26, among other counties. 535 patients have recovered from the disease, 439 from home-based and isolation care programs, while 96 are from various health facilities. Total recoveries now stand at 120,894. 7 people have succumbed to the disease, one of them having occurred in the last 24 hours, while 6 are late deaths reported after conducting facility record audits on diverse dates in the month of June. Total fatalities now stand at 3,428. 975 patients are currently admitted to various health facilities, while 4,716 patients are under the home-based isolation and care program. 100 patients are in the intensive care unit, 29 of whom are on ventilatory support and 59 on supplemental oxygen. As of today, 1,138,748 vaccines have so far been administered across the country.
In other news, the National Assembly has moved to unmask individuals profiteering as independent power producers. Now, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, has directed the Energy Committee to get to the root bottom of the companies, their directors, and the nature of their contracts with Kenya Power that is hurting the Kenyan consumer. The move was ignited by a question by Garissa Member of Parliament, Aiden Duale, who claimed Kenya Power has been buying electricity 15 times more from independent producers compared to Kenyan.
Members of Parliament are reading mischief in contracts signed between Kenya Power and the 4G18 independent power producers, a move being blamed for exorbitant prices levied on the Kenya Power consumers. Garissa Member of Parliament Aden Duale claimed Kenya Power was withholding vital information on the contracts that is hurting the economy.
These power producers, even if they don't generate, they don't sell to KPLC, they earn billions of shillings in the name of capacity charges. These charges are transferred to the ordinary bills of the Kenyan citizens.
According to Duale, the directors and shareholders of the independent power producers were selling powers at astronomical prices compared to Kenyans.
These directors and shareholders are big people, some of them in government and some of them in the energy sector. Two, Mr. Speaker, I have asked for the contractual obligation that they've entered with the KPLC. The chair has been denied the last 3 months. And in fact, the answer, Mr. Speaker, he says that I should go to a court of law and get an order as a member for Garissa Township so that those answers can be availed to me.
The Speaker directing that the Energy Committee digs into the contracts, some of which were signed in 2001 and even appear to have no exit clause.
KPLC spent 15 times more to buy power from the independent power producers, even compared to Kenyan, which is a government entity.
The Speaker tasking the committee to come up with a report on how companies, among them Thika Power, Mumias Sugar, Gulf Power, Powertech and Savo Power, were being paid even when they didn't sell power. A task force appointed by the President on the 23rd of March to look into a comprehensive review of the purchase agreement between Kenya Power and independent power producers is yet to submit its report. For Channel 1 News, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Well, that report by Gladys Mungai brings us to a break. Don't go too far. We'll be right back.
Did you know that your house is one of your most valued investments? Get your domestic package insurance cover. This includes house and its contents, domestic servants, owners and tenants' legal liability. Now you know. IRA, promoting insurance, protecting the insured.
Bwana Motiso, pikipiki yako ndio hii. Uko shwani yangu. Hii pikipiki ni unakumbuka uniekelea the lowest unique bid yako ilikuwa ngapi? 18 shillings. Na unajua kuendesha hii gari? Kidogo. Haya, kitoko yako shika helmet, kifungu yako chomoka na mali yako.
Kujiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bid yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bid yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bid ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
My name is Tuta Mionki. I am a co-driver. I'll be reading the notes for Nzioka Waita in the upcoming WRC Safari Rally. I'd then like to encourage more women to join the sport. It's not a male sport. As you can see, I've been here for 9 years, won a few championships, including the Motorsport Personality of the Year 2018. I invite you to watch the WRC Safari Rally and support Team Kenya. Kenya Mbele.
Welcome back. Now, in health matters, county governments have embarked on a plan to find ways of funding HIV interventions instead of relying on donor funds. Under the County AIDS Implementation Plan, counties will now mobilize their own funds in their own budgets to fighting HIV/AIDS. The National AIDS Control Council says the COVID-19 pandemic has created a lot of strain on donor funding, and counties must now think broad in the fight against HIV/AIDS.
The launch of the County AIDS Implementation Plan will herald a new beginning in the fight against HIV in Kenya as focus shifts to county-specific activities. Domestic funding in the fight for HIV has, however, been a major barrier, but counties have adopted a new approach where funds will be availed in their budget for the same.
Counties have not been able to put much emphasis on the fight on HIV and AIDS, and I think this plan now will provide a roadmap where counties will be able to sensitize their people.
Speaking during Day 2 of the Maisha Conference, the National AIDS Control Council CEO Ruth Flyborn noted that COVID-19 has had a lot of strains on funding partners, which calls for Kenya to shift focus on how to fund HIV interventions.
Where does the last mile take us? For a long time, we have not comprehended the cost of HIV to this country. If we require 25 billion Kenya shillings just for commodities alone, that has no salaries. 25 billion is required to provide access to prevention choices, but most importantly, life-saving medication. So what does that mean for us? It means we have to be on the driver's seat. It means we have to put money on the table.
Speaking on behalf of the Council of Governors, Elgeyo Marakwet Governor Alex Tulgos lauded the launch of the County AIDS Implementation Plan, expressing confidence that there is adequate political goodwill to fight HIV in the country.
I think sustainability will first of all start with budgeting. Once we have the resources to implement these plans, then we'll be able to sustain it. On the issue of political goodwill, I'm talking on behalf of all the 47 governors, and there is goodwill, there is political goodwill. And even having interacted with the other leaders, the members of county assemblies, the members of parliament, I believe there is that political goodwill.
The National AIDS Control Council, on its part, has committed to adopting best practices through improving coordination structures and enforcing accountability and prudent use of resources, calling on all duty bearers to do the right thing to ensure the achievement of the last mile.
The HIV response shall only be successful if every single Kenyan is not being deterred by the costs of visiting the hospital to achieve the other things I'm going to mention what they have done. Early adoption of science and technology. They make sure that as science emerges, it is adopted. And because science is adopted, the next thing they do is to ensure this early diagnosis.
Caroline Kamar reporting for Channel 1 News.
The Small Claims Court have called for addition of more adjudicators in the newest addition to the courts to help expedite cases timely. Chief Justice Martha Koome, who made a tour of the courts on Tuesday afternoon, vowed to help add more personnel, encouraging parties to embrace the small courts as a method of finding solutions.
Chief Justice Martha Koome has hailed the input of the Small Claims Court, which was launched on the 26th of April this year. Koome says as a product of the ongoing reforms in the judiciary, the court is playing a huge role in the clearance of case backlog.
To witness and also encourage this initiative of finding solutions for people who are seeking justice and people who are yearning for justice.
In just 2 months, the Small Claims Court has delivered 161 judgments out of the 800 cases under litigation. The judiciary is looking to build on the recent appointment of the new judges to hasten the pace of the wheels of justice.
The Registrar Magistrate Court has already said we will source magistrates, resident magistrates who will be adjudicators, who will be posted here to deal with the personal injury claims. And I'm going to urge you to do that quickly, so that by 1st of July, we have the adjudicators.
This, as she pointed out, the importance of putting up more infrastructure as they continue to source for finances. After the judiciary was allocated 17.9 billion shillings in the incoming financial year, a marginal decline from 18.1 billion shillings allocated in 2020-2021 financial year.
So soon we will be launching courts built in partnership with the Nairobi Metropolis.
Well, 2 months into operation, the small claims courts have already proven to be a solution to some of the key underlying challenges here at the courts, with all eyes being directed now to see how it will operationalize in the coming days. For Channel 1 News, I'm Serafina Robe.
And away from the corridors of justice, members of parliament have paid tribute to the late former GEM member of parliament, Jacob Moi, who passed on Monday. The legislators eulogizing the late Moi as a firm and charismatic team leader who mentored many in parliament during his tenure.
Former colleagues of the late former GEM member of parliament, Jacob Moi, have described him as a mentor who looked out for upcoming politicians and new MPs in the House without discrimination.
And when I joined parliament, Mr. Speaker, he told me that if you want to be a good legislator, Mr. Speaker, you must learn by attending parliamentary sittings. That's what he told me, Mr. Speaker. And that is the same message I've been giving my other colleagues who are joining for the first time. Jacob was so generous. Not just with what he had, Mr. Speaker, but with words and advice. Mr. Speaker, he was such a good mentor. He would tell you that I know you are hard-headed, but this is the right thing to do.
The legislators eulogizing Moi for his courage and ability to stand by what he believed in, despite the opposition he faced.
And he was so persistent and so insistent about what he believed in. And this made it very difficult for the other side to be able to counter what he was doing.
When he was in line of duty, Jacob ensured that he was indeed the man in the arena. His face marred with sweat and dust most of the time, in attempts to ensure that we, the people of GEM, got what we deserved and what was rightfully ours.
Garissa Township Member of Parliament Aiden Duale recalling an exchange with the late MP.
When called and that time TNA URP, there was a lot of commotion. And I'm sure you have seen the video, going round. And it's very interesting. Honorable Jacob Moi, Mr. Speaker, was a very fearless leader.
Duale further calling on the House leadership to consider naming some of the facilities in Parliament after outstanding leaders in the House. The parliamentarians vowing to stand with the family, even as they called on the government to look into ways of providing medical cover to retired legislators. Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
Now, police in Kisumu County have launched a manhunt for a middle-aged man who is alleged to have stabbed to death a 19-year-old student. Celestine Muthenge, a second-year student of the Mount Kenya University, was allegedly attacked and killed by the suspect in her hostel room.
Celestine colleagues say the unknown assailant entered the room as they were having their supper and calmly asked for the deceased. The group said the suspect appeared calm and polite. It is then that Celestine, who was seated at the edge of one of the beds near the door charging her phone, stood and introduced herself, as she seemed not to recognize the man who had a cap and a mask on.
Hatukuwa tuna expect ni mtu wako violent. Tulikuwa tunafikiria maybe classmate wake amekuja kuchukua notes or something like that. So at first hata hatuko tunajua hata kumbe anamdunga. Tulikuwa tunafikiria yani tumeshangaa mbona watu wana fight. Tulikuwa tunafikiria anamslap ama sijui anamfanyia nini.
While trying to get acquainted, the suspect is alleged to have drawn a knife from his coat pocket and started stabbing her.
Ndio huyu mimi akamwambia, "Wewe msichana, ulikuwa unafikiria sitai kupata?" Hivyo tu. Akisema tu bado tu anaongea na upole tu. "Wewe msichana, ulikuwa unafikiria sitai kupata?" Alikuwa ameka mfuko. Mkono kwa mfuko. Then akatoa tu kisu. All of a sudden tu hivyo. Na akaanza hivyo stabbing hivyo tu. Like several times.
The man is said to have fled the scene after committing the crime. The deceased was then rushed to Thika Level 5 Hospital where she succumbed to her injuries. Meanwhile, former Isiolo North Member of Parliament Joseph Samal was on Tuesday arrested and arraigned at the Isiolo Low Courts where he was charged with incitement. Samal, who appeared before Chief Magistrate Samuel Mungai, denied the charges and was released on 100,000 shillings bond and a surety of a similar amount. The case will be mentioned on 29 June 2021. Meanwhile, transport was paralyzed at Moi's Bridge following running battles between residents and law enforcement officers. Locals were up in arms over the alleged murder of a 13-year-old girl who went missing on Friday. Kenya Broadcasting Corporation correspondent Joseph Nyongesa was attacked and injured in the melee. The deceased had reportedly visited her aunt before leaving for a hairdresser appointment but never to return.
She suffered a lot of violence and we suspect that she was abused before being murdered. She had injuries almost everywhere in the body.
CCTV footage shows the girl following a middle-aged man who has now emerged as a prime suspect in the alleged murder.
In other news, the Kisumu County government has threatened to conduct mass burial for 69 bodies lying uncollected in various health facilities across the county. This follows the directive by the county government to have bodies processed for burial within 48 hours upon death as part of the county's effort to contain COVID-19. Now, Wycliffe Okech has more details.
In a public notice signed by Kisumu County Attorney Edris Omondi, the county government will conduct mass interment for bodies lying uncollected in various health facilities across the county. According to the notice, 69 bodies have not been collected and risk being interred en masse on Friday, the 18th of June 2021, if their kin will not have collected them by then. Of the 69 bodies, 51 are lying uncollected at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and Referral Hospital, 16 at Kisumu District Hospital, and 2 at Port Florence Hospital. Some 9 more bodies have stayed in various health facilities for extended periods with their kin untraceable. The notice comes amid a worrying trend of the COVID-19 situation in the county. Wycliffe Okech, Channel 1 News.
The Land Development and Governance Institute is calling for a spirited crusade against graft in the land sector. Executive Director Mwendwa Makathimo says the ongoing digitization of the land registry is a step towards the right direction, but a lot more needs to be done to tame brazen corruption.
The Governance Institute has revealed loopholes in the management of land in the country. Key issues among them include corruption, accessibility and awareness of the ongoing reforms in the land sector.
There is also the issue of data security. A number of people were raising the concern that they are not too sure that the data they feed into the system is secure, because of course you give in all your private information and you also give information relating to your land. There's a concern about identity theft, that yes, because all you need is your name, ID number, the serial number of the ID, and some mobile number.
The Land Development and Governance Institute says corruption remains one of the biggest threats to land reforms.
51% still found that land transactions in private land category were still affected by corruption within the processes of transactions.
The ongoing digitization of land registries is expected to streamline land management and rid the sector of graft. Yusuf Farr, Channel 1 News.
The 250 million shillings Kasese-based dam in Pokot North is complete and set for official launch this September by President Uhuru Kenyatta and his Ugandan counterpart Yoweri Museveni. The dam is part of a peace initiative signed between Kenya and Uganda in 2019.
The idea to construct Kasese's peace dam with a capacity of 1.2 billion litres came up as a follow-up to the peace initiative signed between President Uhuru Kenyatta and President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda in Moroto 2019. While inspecting the project, Devolution CS Eugene Wamalwa noted that the project will solve cross-border conflicts among the Takana, Pokot and Karamoja communities. The launch will coincide with the second anniversary of the Moroto Peace Accord.
But the challenge President Uhuru Kenyatta and President Museveni gave us in 2019 was, why can't we have similar dams as Kobebe in Kenya? And we were directed together with the CS Water to ensure we have one dam that is has the same capacity as Kobebe Dam here in West Pokot. We have another dam in Turkana County and a third dam in Forole in Marsabit County.
And in Trans Nzoia County, the government has launched a land survey on the troubled Nyakinywa farm ahead of the issuance of title deeds to locals. Rift Valley Regional Coordinator George Natembea says the exercise is geared towards ensuring that only valid claimants are handed the title deeds. More than 160 say they were gifted the 100-acre piece of land 48 years ago by President Jomo Kenyatta.
Kama kuna mtu mkora hapa na tufanye kazi tumalize na amepata shamba hapa, hatutakuwa tumetenda haki. Hata kama mnampenda namna gani, hata kama ni pasta yenu na ni mwizi, hatuwezi kumwachia shamba.
And in Kisumu, a section of members of the county assembly is calling for sobriety and calm over the controversy surrounding Sondu Market, which lies on the border of Kisumu and Kericho County. This comes a day after Kericho Senator Aaron Cheriot claimed that almost 90% of the market lies within Kericho County.
That the traders from both Kisumu and Kericho have for over the years been coexisting at the market without any friction or disputes over collection of revenue. This is because the boundaries are well known, and to call for sobriety and calm over this matter.
I surrender. Elsewhere, the National Council of Churches of Kenya has raised concerns over the rise of ethnic and regional-based political mobilization in the country, saying it risks polarizing the masses ahead of the next year's polls. South Rift Chairman Reverend Ernest Ngeno noted it was unfortunate that a number of political leaders in the country had resorted to incite their communities to violence.
Call upon all actors to deliberately sanction any individuals or groups that mobilize militias or vigilante groups. Any person who attempts to mobilize for violence should immediately have action taken against them as per the law.
Finally, Eastern Region Commissioner has called upon private institutions to step up collaboration with the government in the fight against COVID-19 pandemic. When receiving hand-washing containers from Tenri Group of Hospitals, Isaiah Nakoro noted that the region has not been spared from the pandemic, with 12,000 positive cases registered so far. Nakoro observed that close collaboration between private sector and government in the fight of the pandemic will help in reducing the stubborn surge of the pandemic.
The government has already provided protocols. We have protocols in place by the Ministry of Health. What we expect Kenyans to do is to respect and adhere to those protocols.
Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Amboyo Tiende.
And in the business world, funding challenges and slow land acquisition processes threatening to derail the construction of the Thika Road bus rapid transit system. The Nairobi Metropolitan Area Transport Authority says the project will now be commissioned next year in February Namata Acting Director General Engineer Francis Gitau has said the procurement of the initial 60 bases, which is behind schedule, will be floated in July and a public-private partnership model.
The Thika Road BRT corridor commenced construction last year as one of the 5 BRT systems planned in Nairobi to ease the endemic traffic jam in the greater Nairobi area. The government picked Chinese contractor Steckle to implement the 5.6 billion shillings project. According to a 2019 Namata study, traffic jams in Nairobi is estimated to cost the Kenyan economy 100 billion shillings or about 11 million shillings per hour. 1.5 years down the line, the project is facing serious delays due to funding challenges and slow process of land acquisition along the BRT corridor.
For Railroad Depot and Kenyatta University National Hospital Depot, there's some land acquisition issues we're trying to solve together with Namata.
However, Namata says despite the teething problems, the upcoming bus depots will have electric charging points installed to accommodate the electric bus rolling stock.
We are really committed to go electric, including this depot. We want it to be retrofitted with electric charging systems. And these buses, we know charging takes about 150 kilometers.
Some of the other highlights of the Thika Road BRT project include physical demarcation of the identified corridor on Thika Superhighway to also accommodate boarding stations and footbridges, a park and ride facility at Kasarani, Roero and Kenyatta National Hospital stations, pre-boarding access to buses through smart ticketing and smart applications.
We would like to welcome Kenyans to join us in this journey of transforming public transport in this city from the matatu-based system that we've had for the last 40-50 years.
The Thika Road BRT will comprise more than 300 buses operating at an interval of 3 minutes during the peak period.
This corridor will be specifically only for bus rapid transit operations. It will not be used by the current matatu operators. However, matatu operators will be part of the operational contract.
The story of the bus rapid transport in Kenya is not a new one. It started more than 10 years ago, but the government this time says it is adamant to finish this particular pilot project by February 2022. All that Kenyans can do now is wait and see if the project that has been on paper and after numerous of research is going to finally become a physical reality. Alan Naoko, Channel 1 Business in Nairobi.
The Ministry of Public Works plans to implement the building code and defect liability that will address challenges and gaps in the construction industry. Public Works Principal Secretary Gordon Kihalangwa says the implementation of the building code will help address cases of substandard buildings and shoddy workmanship in the country.
An audit done by the National Construction Authority in 2015 said that most of the buildings in the country are substandard after failing to adhere to the stipulated building code. Speaking at the launch of the National Construction Research Agenda 2020-2024, Principal Secretary for Public Works Gordon Kihalangwa says his department will stamp its foot down and expedite the implementation of the building code and defect liability that will address challenges and gaps in the construction industry.
Also finalize the public participation workshop for the draft of the National Code, as you've been told, that will form the standard. This new building code will herald a new dispensation and better operations and activities in the built environment that emphasizes and addresses the high quality standards.
He says although his ministry has initiated various initiatives to ensure high standards are adhered to, there is need for policy intervention that will bring to book contractors and developers.
And to share with you is that from those researches presented, they have also informed a number of policy makings or policy changes that we have seen in the industry. This one today will also inform those policies.
The National Construction Research Agenda 2020-2024 will spearhead research in the construction industry and provide local solutions.
The implementation of the National Construction Authority, that is the defect liability, Regulation 2020 will compel developers, contractors to be more responsible in ensuring that construction work is carried out while adhering to high-quality standards. Research is a core function.
NACRA will also target partnership frameworks to allow and encourage research amongst stakeholders in the construction industry.
Kenya has invited the African peer review mechanism to review and audit the Big Four gender programs. The targeted review of affordable housing, food security, manufacturing and affordable healthcare is slated for February 2022. The review is expected to help the government recalibrate the programs to enhance progress tracking by the government and other APRM country members in Africa.
The Big Four agenda was rolled out by the government in the year 2017 to ensure food security, develop the manufacturing sector and enhance universal healthcare. Almost 4 years down the line, the Big Four agenda has faced serious headwinds due to capacity and funding problems. The government has invited the new Partnership for Africa's Development and African Peer Review Mechanism to conduct targeted review of program to help in the rollout process.
Just had a base review 10 years earlier, which meant that a lot of development had already taken place in the country that required a comprehensive assessment, especially in all the sectors. The second reason is we had promulgated the new constitution in 2010, which actually paved way to a two-tier government system with a devolved system, with 47 national, the national and 47 county governments. And the new constitution, among others, was mainly to actually address challenges in our governance, as cited in the 2006 APRM-based review.
Speaking in Mombasa, Nepal, Kenya Secretariat Chief Ambassador Samuel Okuya says Kenya's demand, smooth implementation of the agenda are some of the factors that prompted the country to partake the review. Nepal says the review will further help other crucial issues, including the fight against corruption, diversity and gender inclusivity, and employment matters.
So to underscore the importance of good governance structures in the country and the government's firm commitment to the APRM initiatives, including the ongoing National Governance Report, which, for your information, is soon to be submitted, and particularly to the targeted review process, whose commencement is the key reason for the support mission that is here with us.
Besides the targeted review, Kenya is also implementing the County Peer Review Mechanism CPRM, aimed at cascading APRM good governance principles to the subnational units in line with the APRM's decisions of 2019, as well as highlight strengths and challenges that the country is experiencing during the implementation phase. Reporting for Channel 1 Business News from Mombasa County, I'm Michael Mondiga.
Kupata skiza tune ya usifadhaishwe, dial star 811 star 815 hash.
Usifadhaishwe na mafanikio ya wengine ukihisi kwamba maisha yako hayana maana. Kumbuka, wengi huzungumzia tu mafanikio yao na si changamoto walizozipitia na ni mara ngapi walianguka. Tia bidii, muda wako utafika.
Ili kupata skiza tune hiyo ya usifadhaishwe kwa simu yako, dial star 811 star 815 hash, star 811 star 815 hash.
My name is Jeremy Wahome. I'm 22 years old and I'll be taking part in the upcoming WRC Safari Rally event. I'll be driving the number 64 car with my navigator Victor Okundi. And this has all been made possible from being selected to be a part of the FIA Rally Star program. So I'm looking forward, definitely going to be putting my best foot forward. It's a very once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get sponsored in motorsport. So I would like to make the most of this. And yeah, thank you for your support thus far, and let's go represent Kenya.
Eldoret, Chamge, get ready. The Insurance Open Day is here. The Insurance Regulatory Authority, in partnership with the County Government of Uasin Gishu, is bringing the insurance message to you. Join us from 16 to 18 June 2021 at the Central Primary School grounds and learn about insurance. Insurance companies and other financial regulators like the Retirement Benefits and the Capital Markets Authorities will be present to educate you on the various financial services and products available in the market. IRA officers will be present to address any concerns and clarifications on your insurance policies. Entry is free and all Ministry of Health COVID-19 protocols and guidelines will be observed. Get to Eldoret. IRA, promoting insurance, protecting the insured.
My name is Helen Shiri, formerly of Warembo Bila Makeup Rally Team and Head Girl Racing. The moment I'm in organization for this safari rally, I'll be the event secretary. We are really supporting the ladies in safari, the ones that have entered. I'm hoping they're going to give the men a run for the sport they are better known in. We've really been waiting for this for a long time. We've worked hard on making the preps ready. All we are asking the Kenyans is, if you're not able to come to the spectator stage, you will be able to follow the whole rally in KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back. And in the sports arena, Magical Kenya, in collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism, today unveiled 2 rally cars that will be used by Cabra's Sugar Rally team during the 6th round of the WRC Safari Rally, set to kick off from 24th to 27th of this month in Naivasha. The championship has attracted 58 drivers from different parts of the world.
With only 8 days left before Kenya hosts the 6th round of the WRC Safari Rally, attention has been shifted to the Kenyan team of 31 drivers who will be featuring in the global showpiece. On Car Rai, navigated by Drew Sturrock in a Volkswagen Polo GTI car, and Eric Bengi, navigated by Peter Mutuma in a Mitsubishi Lancer Evo X, today received the rally cars from Magical Kenya.
First time also, this event is going to take place in the National Park. Flagging off from Kenyatta Conference Center. The Kenya Tourism Board management did an innovative way by partnering with these rallies. So thank you and congratulations. This event is not just an event. It's a big event for Kenya. It's an event that is going to be beamed internationally, and that confirms that Kenya is a destination that can host an international event like this one.
Bengi showcased his prowess when he qualified during the 2021 qualifying round of the FIA and African Rally Championship Equator Rally in Naivasha on 23rd April, clocking 3 hours 21 minutes 37.2 seconds for a 15th place finish. Drivers will contest over 18 special stages totaling 320.19 kilometers.
It has taken us about a month to prepare the car from last ARC. Been quite intense, but I guess, and I think we are set, we are ready.
Until the last meter has been driven, and we got stung very early on, but we managed to come back and produce some good times in the Super Rally. So I feel we have the pace, but a little bit of consistency on our side, and I'm sure we can try and get a good result for Kenya.
Meanwhile, Kaltundo says he'll definitely give his best in the upcoming Safari Rally, where he'll be navigated by his long-term partner Team Jesop in a Minty Motorsports Volkswagen Polo R5. He tested the car of the weekend, another team coming from Europe to do the final setup this week in preparation for the Safari Rally scheduled for next week.
Obviously, we'd never driven the car before, so it was a learning curve to begin with, but actually it's quite an easy car to get used to. It's got a lot of power, so that counts. It handles amazingly well. And obviously we, maybe experience, because I've been around for a long time. I know Soisambu, I know all the stages that we're on. I know everyone else does, but...
Frederick Muki for Channel 1 Sports.
Betting firm Odibet has today unveiled Charles Odongo, the Ugali man, as the official brand ambassador. Odongo went viral on social media platforms for his Ugali eating techniques, which have now landed him a lucrative deal.
Odongo, whose video was shared multiple times on social media last week and entertained people when he was captured tossing his meal in the air before finally grabbing and eating it. A betting firm Odibet officially unveiled Odongo as the brand ambassador through the company's Odimtani initiative. The initiative, which was launched in 2019, is geared towards identifying, appreciating and nurturing talent.
Nimefurahia zaidi kujumuika na nyinyi leo, na ni siku kubwa. Ni siku ambayo niliota kama ndoto, na leo naiona ni ukweli imefika. Power iko. Tukisema hiyo ni slogan yangu imetoka kule Rongai. Nikisema power iko, unasema usiwaitishwa. Power iko.
His story is encouraging, and as Odibets, we have committed ourselves to boost his fitness career and as well his wellness business. As you all know, he's an instructor. He's an instructor and a fitness coach by career. So hiyo tu ugali siwadanganye. We believe that grassroots sports and talent development is one of the sustainable causes that stakeholders should invest in purposefully and meaningfully.
In 2019, that is when we felt that there's a need for us to give back to the society. And that is when we came about with the Odimtani initiative. Odimtani initiative is an initiative whereby we are engaging all stakeholders to try and bring out and bring up and support talents at grassroots levels.
Odibet is the official sponsor of the Football Kenya Federation FKF County League. The firm started a kitting program dubbed Odimtani that saw over 10,000 teams participating in the county leagues get kitted with football jerseys. In 2020, Odibet came in as a Harambee Stars motivational partner. Frederick Muki for Channel 1 Sports.
Now, the second round of the Confederation of Africa Football CAF refresher course that attracted 72 coaches from Nairobi, Mombasa and Kisumu kicked off. Participants were drawn from the Kenyan Premier League, National Super League and Women Premier League clubs. The course was under FKF FIFA instructors Leonard Saleh, Salim Ali, Zedekiah Otieno and Jacob Moi. Ali reiterated the importance of coaching courses in improving the quality of football in the country. The FKF technical department has, in the meantime, lined up 2 CAF B courses for its coaches. The first will be held between September 6th and December 15th, 2021, while the second will run between November 1st and 15th February next year.
And the most important thing is to empower the coaches and to make sure that kule mashinani pia at least we gain what we want for the federation, because we cannot succeed kama we don't have enough coaches. We cannot succeed kama pia grassroots yetu si nzuri vile sana.
Leo tuko kwenye nini refresher course ya KFC. Ni kosi ambayo tulikuwa tumefanya pale mwanzo ilikuwa 2017, lakini hatukuweza pata zile certificate ambazo ni za CAF za kuonyesha tumeifanya. Kwa hivyo federation imejaribu kupigana, tumepata wakati mwingine ili tuweze kufanya refresher ndio tupate hizo certificate za KFC.
Well, that brings us to the end of our bulletin tonight. Thank you for keeping us company. For more news, check out our website at kbc.co.ke. My name is Jacky Wambiru. Our sign language interpreter is unmask. Have a good night.